Saturday, an ultralight aircraft crashed up in Tarlac, killing a 19-year-old pilot and an 18-year-old passenger. That's what I'm going to talk about on this show. The information I'm going to talk about is just from open source reporting. Obviously, the initial reports aren't going to be 100% accurate. So just the brush strokes. According to what I've read, the aircraft took off from Woodland Air Park out in McGowan at around 10:44 a.m. and then crashed, according to witnesses, into a rice field up in Tarlac around 11 o'clock. So it was about a 15-minute flight. The 19-year-old pilot was a male, as one news article described him, and just a young aviation enthusiast. And his passenger, an 18-year-old female, it was her first ultralight flight. The reports are they were dead on arrival at the hospital, but just a Google search, boom, there's photos right in front of you. They were dead right there. They were dead in that rice field. So it wasn't like they got rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. And if you see the photos, I'll put a couple photos on the screen that are sanitized. Obviously, folks, in this day and age, obviously there's all the photos floating around. I'm not going to partake in that. But the picture I'm putting on the screen just shows the destruction of the aircraft. And again, the photos that just popped up during my search, they were dead right there. There's no sugarcoating it. Used to be a paramedic, and just slang term, DRT. Didn't matter when people got to them, they died on impact, in my opinion. So when I first saw the picture of the aircraft, my heart sank. Well, when I first, let me back up. When I first read the article, my heart sank. Why? Because my good buddy is a pilot. I went up with him several times. If you'll, matter of fact, because of this, I did a aviation playlist, and those videos are several videos of myself going up and flying with my buddy, my buddy Eric going up. So when I first read the article that said ultralight crashed in Tarlac, my heart sank, because I'm thinking about my buddy, right? And shout out to you, man. I ain't talked to you in months, actually. And I started to wake you up last night till I saw the photos. To check on them. But I see the article. Oh my gosh! I pull up the photo, and I'm like, oh my gosh! And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not his plane. The plane that crashed is yellow with some red, call it trim or whatever, with some red color on it. My buddy's plane is like a maroon. And then I'm thinking, well, he had a plane before that. I pull it up, and I'm like, no, that's not his plane. It was like white and multicolored. But I said, I know that aircraft. Now look, I've hung out up there at the air park a lot. That's where it took off from. I'm assuming that's where it was based out of at this point. But so I go back through my footage, those videos, and I don't see it up there. I'm like, man, I've either flown on that aircraft or I've seen it somewhere. And sure enough, I went back, and I'll put all the time and the date stamps down below. The aircraft was in several of my videos when we were out there at Pradera, at that aerodrome, that airport, whatever you want to call it. because at one point we flew out there, we were flying around out there, we flew back to Angeles City. So that aircraft was sitting in a hangar out there. Now this is years ago. So I don't think I ever flew on it. I'm not asserting that, but that aircraft, I'm sitting there talking, and if you look at the videos, in one video I'm sitting there talking and it's to my left, sort of out of frame. And of course I got another good pans on it. Heart goes out to the families of the young man and the young lady you know, who died on that aircraft in that rice field. I guess I said, you know, all of my videos have promoted this type of activity. Hey, you know, go take a flight. Why not? Okay. Statistically speaking, you know, flying in an ultralight or skydiving. Let's just talk about skydiving. You know, the most dangerous thing statistically about skydiving is the drive to the airport, to the drop zone. You are more likely to get injured or killed in a car crash driving from your house to that airport. So if you actually make it out the door when you're skydiving, that's the safest part of the sport, statistically. Because if your main chute fails, you have a reserve. So the odds of both chutes failing are, I don't want to say astronomical, but it's a very slim chance. So the number of jumps that that people go on versus the fatality rate is very small. Maybe I should put that on the screen to illustrate my point. With, I don't know what the stats are concerning ultralights, but let's just talk about it. People die in car crashes every day all around us, especially in the United States. Did we stop driving cars? No. Occasionally aircrafts crash, commercial aircraft. Do we stop getting on flights? No. And so you see where I'm going here, right? I don't know when the last time any mishap has happened involving ultralights around here. I don't know what happened in this particular accident. The witnesses are saying, and this is coming from open source, I'm not asserting this, I'm just telling you what I read. They said that the aircraft was circling erratically and it sounded like the engine was sputtering. Obviously sounds like, if you believe the witnesses, it sounds like some type of engine failure. But the safe thing, okay, you know, flying around out there by Mount Riot and around that area, there's plenty of open spaces to land in. There's plenty of open rice fields. It's not like you're flying around a populated area where you got to try to find a golf course to land on. I mean, there's nothing but rice fields out there. Now look, are they a nice smooth landing? No. Once those wheels hit the ground, you're going to dig in. But the point is, you're not dodging buildings and stuff like that. It's open spaces. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what happened. Sounds like engine trouble. Young pilot, you know, at 19, I don't know what his experience level is. How we react during emergency situations, we're all different, and maybe it happened so fast, didn't have much time. But life goes on. Life goes on. You know, when I was a young police officer, this old codger said, he was teaching his firearms class, and use of force. He was talking about you know, getting shot, survivability. And what he said was, he said the reason that, you know, police officers come to work is because they don't think they're going to get shot that day. He said, think about it. You come to work, you just don't think it's going to happen to you. He said, if you knew you were going to get shot on a particular day, you just wouldn't come to work. You see what I mean? We think it's not going to happen to us. If you knew you were going to get into a car crash, you wouldn't get in the damn car. If you knew that MH370 was going to go down in the middle of the Indian Ocean, you wouldn't get on the flight. We just roll the dice, and we just assume it's not going to happen to us. And in real life, shit happens. So I used to skydive. I quit doing that a long time ago. Why? I don't know. The universe was telling me, hey man, you run the gauntlet enough jumping out of airplanes. It's enough. Or is there a portion of me that wants to get back on that train? Yeah, there's that itch that pops up from time to time. Because in my opinion, there's nothing more exhilarating than walking off a drop zone. Now that might be one for the shrinks to evaluate. I mean, yeah, the whole sport is just, there's nothing like it. But when you hit the ground and you walk off that drop zone after just cheating death in a safe manner, inherently safe manner, it's like it puts everything in perspective. So what I used to do is when everything in life was like, I don't say crashing down on me, but if I needed to put things in perspective, head to the drop zone. Jump out of that plane, cheat death, walk off that drop zone, and all of a sudden, you know, whatever problem in your life that you were worried about, it didn't matter as much. It was still there, but you were just like, all right, I'll deal with it. Not gonna, you know, whatever the problem was, a breakup with a chick that was so devastating that you're thinking about tying a buffer cord around your neck and throwing it out the window. Go to the drop zone, jump, walk off that drop zone, carrying that parachute, and then all of a sudden you don't give a shit about that chick. Now you're starting to think about, what am I going to do tonight? Let's head to the Crystal Chandelier. Everything's going to be all right. So I stopped jumping. I don't know. The universe just told me enough's enough of that. And then here I am, you know, a few years ago, start hanging out over at the air park, riding around in ultralights. Exhilarating. Beautiful views of Mount Orion over there, just beautiful views. My buddy Dennis, may you rest in peace, my good friend. When I posted that first video, he gets me on the phone. He's like yelling at me, screaming at me, yakking me. You need to keep your ass out of them goddamn gliders. You got 2 babies to worry about. You're gonna crash in one of them goddamn gliders. Kept calling them gliders. I'm like, dude, it's not. I'm not hang gliding. It's not a glider. Okay, it's an ultralight aircraft. I don't give a damn. Looks like a damn glider. You stay the hell out of them gliders. So he yacked me a lot. And I don't think I quit, or it's not that I just haven't been over there. You know, we moved down to the village. Now there was a skydiving place on Bataille Island. I was tempted to go over there. I don't know if they're still operating or not, because I ain't been there in a couple years. But I haven't engaged in that activity. Skydiving has been a long years. Last ultralight ride was over a couple years ago. Now, when the ladies were living with us, I took all the ladies over there. My buddy took them up. Wonderful time. Wonderful day. Check out the video. Great experience. Two weeks ago, I told the old lady, I said, hey, let's load the kids up and go out to the air park today. You know, not to fly, but just to get something to eat, watch the airplanes fly. And they got a pool out there, so we used to go out there to the pool, get a Baha'i Kubo, spend the day. You know, if you're a member of the club. And we just ended up not going. I don't know, was the universe telling me something? But as I get older, as I age, and just certain little things like this, you get more spiritual. You become more spiritual. You become more religious. Some people separate the two words. Are they the same? Are they combined? That's however you want to interpret it. But like, it's easy to be an atheist or not believe in anything when you're sitting in your house and you look up and you see the ceiling, you're looking at sheetrock. Walk outside and look up at the sky and tell me there's not something higher than us. Just go ahead and try to explain it to me. Don't worry, I'll wait. So I know I'm rambling here. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning. And here's what happened. I got up, I looked at the clock, or looked at my phone, because I thought it was almost time to get the kids ready for bed. And I thought that the clock said 4:35. Went in there, got a shower, got dressed, picked up my phone, and it was like almost 2 a.m. It was 1:35. It wasn't 4:35. So here I am, which is actually good because now I don't have any background noise. My audio is much better. I don't have any distractions while everybody's sleeping. But it's just one of those things. I don't know. I don't know why it hit me. It initially hit me because I was scared for my buddy, but when I saw the picture, it's clearly two young local, I would say, kids, 18 and 19-year-old. But then again, I was like, man, the aircraft looked familiar. So there you go. Again, if you're just joining me, ultralight went down up in Tarlac. Are they going to do an investigation? Folks, this isn't Kansas. If you look at the pictures, there's 30, 40, local folks out there. It's not like America where the scene gets cordoned off and then here comes the FAA, or the National Transportation Safety Board. Maybe they're out there now. I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever determine exactly what happened. I guess the moral of the story is you make sure you hug your children. If they're going somewhere, you make sure you hug them. Give them a big ass hug every time they walk out that door. I can't imagine what the parents are going through of either one of the kids. I'll say kids. They're 18, 19 years old. But it's one of those things that as parents, you can make these decisions for your kids right up until they become adults. Then they make their own decisions. My daughter said, hey, I want to go skydiving. What would I say? I'm going to say, hell no, it's too dangerous. And then deprive her of the experience of a lifetime that I experienced as a young person. When you turn 18, there's nothing you can do anyhow. A kid joining the military, how do you feel about that? Well, if there's no war going on, sounds like a pretty good deal and adventure. What if your kid walked in and said, hey, I'm going to join the Army or the Marine Corps in 2003? Ain't an easy job being a parent. And now I done got off on way off base on the talk. I'm going to put the timestamps down in the description. The footage of the aircraft in question. It's just sitting there in a hangar. I don't have any more footage of it. So if anybody is looking into it, that's all I got. I just got footage of the thing sitting in a hangar. Far as I know, I've never flown on the aircraft, so I have nothing else to offer if anybody cares. It's just the timestamps to the aircraft sitting in a hangar. It appears to be the same aircraft, same tail number. But again, when I filmed it, it wasn't at Woodland Air Park. It was out at Perdera. So is an incident like this going to stop me from going up an ultralight aircraft? Well, smoke. I don't want to say never, but I'm getting older. I got 2 kids here with me that depend on me should I be out there taking those risks, especially since my son has autism. At least 2-person job, 24 hours a day at times. So maybe at this point, it's not exactly responsible for me to be going and skydiving and riding around in them damn gliders, as my buddy Dennis says, because it's just an unnecessary risk with the responsibilities that I have at this point in life. So I don't want to never say never. It's like, will I go back to drinking? Which is a lot more dangerous than flying around in aircraft or skydiving. Never say never. I mean, who knows? But when something like this, sort of close to home, it hits home, it helps you put your life in perspective. In closing, I'm just going to say, look, if you watch those videos when I'm promoting going out and engaging in this activity, I'm not going to pull those videos. I'm not going to say don't go live your life and don't go live your life on the edge. That's how I've lived my entire life, is on the edge. I made it this far, but maybe I was lucky. So I'm not going to tell you not to go skydiving. Hell no, you get the chance, go skydiving. But understand the risks. There are risks involved. Go fly in an ultralight aircraft. Understanding the risks. Bungee jumping, don't do that shit. It's too dangerous. There's no backup. You've got no reserve. Engine trouble, drop the nose, get some airspeed, find a soft landing somewhere. You got a chance. Bungee cord breaks, sayonara, kiss your ass goodbye. End of mission. So I do not recommend that you bungee cord jump. I'm not a big fan of zip lines either. So risks, what would I be willing to take? If somebody said, hey man, you got to go skydiving today, you got to go jump out of an airplane, okay. Hey man, we're going to take an ultralight flight, okay. Hey man, you got to go bungee jump. Nope, get ready to fight. Not doing it. Just the way I feel about it. That's my personal feelings. Zip line depends on what country I'm in. I'll just leave it at that. Who built it? Appreciate y'all listening. Again, every time I fire up this camera and I talk to you through this lens, it's just like free therapy. I feel a lot better. Anything like that, sort of close to home. You ever had anything like that go down? It just made you put things in perspective for a minute. Check out the links down in the description, especially one called F-22 ultralights on Ready 5 or whatever it is. Sometimes I amuse myself, you know. Put together little videos, little short films like that. Not my best work, but it's pretty good. And it's the two small ultralights. Me and my buddy Eric went up with Captain Warner and Captain, oh man, I'll think of your name in a minute. Anyhow, check out that video. F-22 ultralights on Ready 5. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, thumbs up button, whatever the hell, I think they call it a like button. I always call it a thumbs ups button. Maybe I should say hit that like button. I think that's a proper terminology. Things that Johnny Carson didn't have to say at the end of his show, just to appease them Google squirrels, the gatekeepers. All right, I'm out here, folks. I'll see y'all on the next one. Again, my heart goes out to the families of that young man and that young lady involved in the crash. All right, peace out.